Hey, you're watching 51st Chapters, Session 8. This is part 2 of it. We're going to be watching a live pitch. Well, not a live pitch, a real pitch. I am Nikki Trampo.
I'm Heather Clark.
Excellent. We're going to just start right up. We have Amber Hall over here. Not really, but we have a screenshot of Amber Hall. I interviewed her earlier. We're going to move her down because otherwise it's too confusing. And she's going to be telling us about her book. And then what we're going to do is every once in a while we're going to pause and overview some of the things that she's done well and that she could be doing better. So take it away, Amber. Knock on the door and then I'll answer. Okay.
Mom.
Hi. Hello. My name is Miss Agent. What's your name?
My name's Amber Hall.
Well, good to meet you, Amber. So come on in, have a seat.
All right, I will.
Excellent. So I am here in Utah for the first time, and they told me it was a desert, but it's been nothing but rain. When is it going to stop raining?
I don't know. I'm from Arizona, so I'm not used to this either.
Well, it's very pretty, and the mountains are gorgeous.
Definitely. Gorgeous. How did that work?
So you have a 20-month-old, it sounds like?
Oh, yeah.
Little cutie, huh?
Yeah, she's wonderful. It's so fun.
That's awesome. Well, go ahead and tell me about your book.
Okay, so I wrote an adult suspense called Chasing Red. And basically my pitch is, well, at a dance club, Heidi is drugged and nearly abducted until a handsome soldier, Captain Cash, saves her. After she recovers her expertise in electrical engineering, lands her job at a nuclear power plant. But when she breaches operational security, she learns her encounter with Captain Cash wasn't a coincidence. His boss, General Barton, needs her in his plan to frame a foreign government official for a nuclear disaster. Despite her growing feelings for Cash and the fact her efforts might cause him to face a court-martial, Heidi gathers evidence to expose the general's secrets. Heidi takes a chance in the race of brain against brawn to undermine the general before he turns the power plant into a nuclear war, into a battlefield for nuclear war.
Got it. Okay, so we've got a lot of suspense going on there. How did your main character get involved in this at the beginning? You went kind of faster, so. Okay, we're going to pause it. Heather and I are going to come back, and we're going to kind of comment a little bit on what you've just seen. So, you go first. I'll go first. Okay, so you can see that Amber had a prepared pitch. She even read it in part, and if she had been live, she probably would have, like, you know, done this where she's like reading. And so I wanted you to see this one first because I think it's the most, what's the word? It's probably the least effective way of communicating your novel, but it did communicate what needed to be communicated.
Right, she didn't forget anything.
She didn't, and she got to things, and it was a fun, interesting sounding book. And so I feel like she gets full marks on her goal of communicating what the book is about.
I agree. I think that I checked out a couple of times, just a little, because she was reading. It's almost like when you're like in sacrament meeting and the person is just reading their talk and you kind of just like forget that they care what they're saying. And so it felt a little distant.
Right.
But yes, I did get the information and I do understand what the conflict is and I get all of that.
And I think it's fine for those of you who are nervous and you've never done this before or you haven't pitched a lot. Like, I think it's totally fine to have something written out. You're going to see, you heard my first question. My first question is basically like, okay, let me make sure I got this straight. How did the main character, how did the main character get involved in this again? I mean, I know there's something about a general, and I think there's some nuclear stuff going on, and I mean, it sounds really cool. But let's backtrack and let's take that plot just a little slower, step by step.
Are you saying, like, if I were pitching to you, you would want me to tell you, like I'm telling you because I want you to get excited about this book, right? Is that what you're telling me?
What I'm saying is that even doing this a more rudimentary way, it's still a successful pitch. Amber had a very successful pitch. I feel like I understand what her book is about. Yep. She came off as super cute. The book comes off as super cute, and you're going to see we're just going to get through. I had to ask some explanatory questions. I had to get her to kind of talk about it a little more naturally so that I could follow it a little bit better. So we're going to say, like, maybe she could have better marks in the way she presents the information about her book, but she did successfully throughout, you're going to see, I'm going to start it up right now. She does successfully tell us about the book. And so I want to calm your nerves. If you choose this method, this is a perfectly fine method. Your agent will say to themselves, okay, this is a newbie. This is somebody who hasn't like pitched a ton. She probably hasn't.
She's nervous.
Yeah, she's nervous, whatever. But they're not going to be like, forget you, I'm showing you the door. They're just going to try to understand what you're book's
And
about.
grab onto those things that they caught.
Exactly,
Like this whole thing about the nuclear attack.
Exactly.
And,
And so my point is, if this is where you're at, if you're earlier in your writing career, if you haven't pitched very much, get prepared like Amber is and kill it like she did.
And I would say even if you think that you have pitched more and that you're more comfortable, still go through the entire process that Amber went through. It's kind of like, there's like the two kinds. There's like the people who write their stock meeting talk and they just read it verbatim like in a, you know.
Right.
And then there's the people who don't write anything and get up and just like, the gospel, it's so great, you know. And if you do that, like you're far better to have it written and read it.
You know,
so I would write it and practice it.
So I shot with 3 volunteers to pitch to me, and all 3 of them I felt like were great. And so I request pages at the end of all 3 of them. And so it would have been fun if I had somebody who pitched and really just didn't know anything and just botched it and just really rambled and just there wasn't much of a plot there. You couldn't really guess anything at it, but we didn't really have any of those. And I don't think that there are very many. I think once people get over a little bit of the nerves and the 30 seconds of I don't know what to say, I think people talk about their books usually pretty naturally. And you're going to see that Amber talks about her book very naturally from here on out. So let's go ahead and just take it away, Amber. I'm going to go ahead and...
Now, so she was drugged, but that was intentional. She finds out later that that was not accidental. The drugging and everything, that's involves another character and a completely separate subplot. And Captain Cash is actually following her with the intention of finding her to take this job. Part of the plan, the drugging was coincidental, but he was already following her, and she thinks it's a big coincidence that he's there to save her and offer her the job. And really, he was there on purpose.
God, I see. So she finds out that he was already following her before that.
Yeah, she later finds out. So.
Oh, that's cool. So tell me about her. Tell me about like what do you see her story arc as being?
I kind of see her story arc as a lot of it to do with this figuring out whether she can trust the person she falls in love with, and trying to figure out how to overcome a really powerful general when she doesn't have a military force behind her. She really just has her smarts because she's a brilliant person. And also, do I go into subplots? Sorry.
Okay, and so we're going to take it back. If you have a question for your agent, like while you're there, like she said, do I go into subplots? That's fine.
Yeah, just ask them.
Just ask them.
Do you want to know about subplots? They might say, no, tell me about yourself.
Tell me about whatever. Yeah, just let them guide it. And if they refuse to guide it, then have some ideas, like I said earlier. But mostly just let them guide it. Okay, we're going to go back to Amber. Now, Amber has this cute little 20-month-old with her who kind of interrupted things. So we actually did a reshooting. So we were talking, the baby interrupted, we started over right around here. So I'm just going to start her right there.
I find Heidi's biggest character arc development happening when she I'm sorry, my phone is I feel like Heidi develops the most in her relationship with her foster sibling, who she's always struggled to figure out who she's supposed to be with her, whether she's supposed to be a caretaker or whether she's supposed to be a sibling or whether her foster sibling is even really family. And in the beginning, she's very controlling. She's very nervous about what's happening with her Red and her name's Red, sorry, and her
the foster sister's name
is Red. And her she's an alcoholic, so Heidi's constantly trying to micromanage her life, with the assumption that trying to constantly help her and be by her side is going to make her a better person and keep her from relaxing. But really, she later finds out that letting go and not trying to control her is really what opens up a lot of doors for Red, that she's able to grow more as a person. And it kind of allows a swap to happen where Red becomes Heidi's caretaker in the moment of the climax, and is able to make a sacrifice for Heidi when Heidi needs it, and
I like that.
allows Heidi to do what she needs to do to finally overcome the general. Whereas if she was still trying to maintain that control, it wouldn't have been able to happen.
Excellent. So do you see this? Here, I'm going to pause myself again because we don't. Okay, so this will be our last critique, and then we will just show the rest of Amber's thing, and then we'll just stop it when it's done. But you saw her moment of nerves there.
Yeah, and
her face.
that's
no
fine.
problem. No,
That's fine.
editors don't care about that. They're
No,
fine.
they know
They're
how
not
you're feeling. Can you imagine if you were the editor and the person was that nervous? You'd just be like, let me hug you.
But I have to say, I played agent editor for just that little conversation, and it's amazingly nerve-wracking.
Yeah, they're scared too.
You know, and the people that you're pitching to have probably done it like way more than me, since I've never done it before. But it was amazing to me. They would have, the writer would be talking, and I would be like, what if I don't understand what she said? You know, I would have this panic moment, like I didn't actually understand what she just said. Should I interrupt and get clarity right there? Or should I just wait and hope that I understand later? Should I bluff it? Like, what should I do? Like, even just a little thing, you know? And it was actually, yeah. But one thing though that I'll say is that despite any nerves, I thought she communicated the story arc really, really well, and I thought it was a cool story arc.
Mm-hmm.
That here she thinks she's kind of the smart one, and that she needs to drive her sister's life. And at the end, not only does she let that go, but that allows her sister to be able to provide the help. That every relationship needs that give and take.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
I
Plus,
thought it
there's
was
the
really cool, too.
romance.
Right.
The
The one thing for me is it sounds like Red is the critical thing to her story arc.
Oh,
And we didn't get any of that right up front. Not even a hint of that
Not a hint of
relationship
it.
in the first opening little synopsis thing.
I don't mind that, because to me it's fine for a character arc to rely on a subplot. I mean, if the main plot is,
it just felt when I came in this part like she was talking about a completely different
work, yeah.
And I liked this one. This is way up my alley. It sounds like
Right,
a contemporary, character-driven, not thriller story.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
In that subplot. And so I don't know if there's a way. I don't know if there's a way to do it, but if there's a way to possibly just link even a sentence in about Red, if Red's
that's
really
true.
important, because you said
Maybe
that's
a
her main
sentence.
growth.
Yeah.
I would like to hear at least just a hint of that in the right up front.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be, I mean, that would be like bonus points. That'd be the kind of thing you would want to do in a query. But for an oral pitch, it's not going to be quite as, it's not
Linear
gonna,
as
it's not going to be quite as linear, because that's just the way people, you know, our brains aren't quite that linear when we're actually just speaking. Okay, so I'm going to let Amber take it away. We're going to finish to her pitch. I'm not going to say anything at the end. We're just going to end it. So if you want to keep watching, you'll see all the way to the end, and then we'll go on to our next video. Thank you guys so much for coming. Bye-bye.
Bye.
As a romantic suspense, where would you shelf this? On the romance?
I would call it a romantic suspense, but with an emphasis on the suspense. So there's always a romantic subplot going through there, but the emphasis is really on the suspense.
So would you kind of shelf it more near a Tom Clancy, or would you shelf it more near like a, of course I'm going blank right now, but you know, like a romantic suspense? Like which shelf do you think it would go under?
If I had to choose, probably romantic suspense, because the tone is definitely softer than, say, what's a really popular, like Born Identity. You know, the tone is more geared toward a more relaxed audience, I guess.
Got it. Okay, now, do you have any questions for me? This is your time to kind of tell me more about yourself, anything you want, or ask me questions.
On a different topic, am I supposed to have my pitch memorized? Because I was kind of reading from a piece of paper because I knew I'd get nervous. Do I need to have it memorized when we go in there?
No, of course not. No. What you've done is great. Is there anything else you want to say to me, like as an agent? Like, is there anything you want me as the agent to know?
I'm a Navy wife, and so that kind of helped me create a very realistic setting since the Marines are a sub-branch of the Navy. And so I get to introduce the readers to the lighter side of military life. And I'm the event coordinator for LDS beta readers. So I really like to be active in that group and constantly helping people beta read and make their projects better before they get published.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
Okay, guess what? You get to have Amber interrupted again. Even though I said I wouldn't interrupt, there's a few more things you wanted to talk about. Your point about the genre.
Okay, so when you said that it was more a suspense than a romance, that's not really how I felt going into it.
Right.
And you talked about the romance as a subplot, but the initial pitch really felt like it was about romance, and you said that the book was kind of essentially about a girl who's not sure if she can trust the person she's falling in love with, and so I wasn't sure.
That book is a romance suspense. It is shelved in the romance section that is about suspense romance, but it's not shelved next to Tom Clancy. But your agent would know that. Your agent, I mean,
They know how to market it.
Yeah, the nice thing is that the book was tightly enough, pitched tightly enough that they knew how to. But I have this secret question in there because I know Amber well enough. I've never met her, but I know who she was well enough to know that she was the event coordinator for LDS beta readers. And I totally forgot to talk about this. We haven't even talked about bringing up your own qualifications. This is extra points if you've got the qualifications. But if you're a published author, if you have a group, she has a group with 500 people in this group, and she's one of their leaders. I mean, that's something to definitely give yourself a sentence or two about, you know.
And don't feel the need to add in I have no qualifications or any of those things at all. But yeah, that's really cool what she's doing with that group.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm glad that she added it in. Okay, we'll give you the end, and then we really are done. Bye. It's time for
So much. Thank you for coming. I really enjoyed your pitch. I'd like to request the first 20 pages. So I'm going to hand you over this piece of paper that has all of this submission information on it. You can take your time. I'd love to see it anytime in the next few months or even up to a year. So finish, polish, and then I would love to see it.
All right, awesome.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
Bye. Okay, don't leave for real. So that'll be the end of the clip. So that's what like the viewers will see. But I will.